I'm Belen Rivas. I am currently a senior at the University of Houston. I am a teaching and learning major, and I'm focusing on getting my certification as an EC through 6 generalist. I'm currently fulfilling my student teaching 2 practicum at Blackshire Elementary School. I'm working with my mentor teacher in a 4th grade ELA classroom. And so once I graduate, I hope to get a job working with between the grades of kindergarten and 3rd grade. If it's self-contained, it's self-contained. But if not, I would prefer to do something in ELA or something like that. My experience with a second language hasn't been really successful. I am for the most part an English speaker or monolingual. I've always had a pretty weird relationship with Spanish because my dad exclusively speaks Spanish to me, whereas my mom speaks English to me. So when I was younger, before I started school, my Spanish was pretty good. But once I started school, I was almost exclusively speaking English, and so I lost a lot of my ability to speak Spanish. Over time, the less I was practicing my Spanish, the less I was able to speak it. However, I can understand it because I heard my dad speaking Spanish around me all my life, and I heard like the interaction between my mom and my dad. And so whenever I would speak to my dad, I would have my mom either translate for me, or I would just speak in my broken Spanish. When I was in high school, it took a few years of Spanish. However, I didn't really learn much. Like, it didn't really help build my fluency in Spanish. I found that what I was learning wasn't really translating into my everyday life vocabulary. Most of the Spanish I was learning in class was very textbook based and was not the type of Spanish that I heard all around me outside of school. I feel like my teacher's methodology for teaching a second language wasn't really effective because they didn't really give me enough opportunities to conversate and to build my conversational skills in Spanish. We never really did any activities or assignments where I was speaking orally. A lot of it was just worksheets or just like paper-based activities, and I feel like it wasn't enough to really get me to speak Spanish and to practice it and practice my fluency. So regarding Vygotsky's theory of social development, it talks about how people learn through social interaction. And I fully agree that students need to be social and learn through experience and interacting and talking with their peers. I feel like this would have helped me be able to get better at speaking Spanish by interacting, having conversations with my peers, and actually like putting what I was learning, all my vocabulary and everything, into use and actually speaking it. Reflecting back on my high school experience, I know that once I become a teacher, I will make sure I'm keeping my ESL students in mind. I plan to implement visual aids, sentence stems, and encourage them to speak and interact with their peers in order to ensure that my instruction is being differentiated for those ELL or ESL students. In my current 4th grade classroom, we have a couple of ESL students, and my mentor teacher and I make sure that we give our ESL students all their accommodations that they need in order to get where they need to be. My whole life I have struggled learning how to speak Spanish, but now as I learn more and more, I hope to grow my Spanish skills because I know how important and helpful having the ability to speak Spanish or speak another language fluently can be, because you never know what kind of students are going to end up in your classroom. So yeah, I am excited for this class, and yeah.